Let's go! The first major of the Call of Duty League season has concluded, and man, what a spectacular show it was. In their own arena down in Arlington, Texas, packed with fans of the Green Wall, OPTIC Texas were crowned Major I champions. And man, I think there is something to be said for a home crowd, because the atmosphere throughout the entire event was just incredible. It's going to be rare that we're going to see that type of energy at a COD event throughout the rest of the season. So the bar is pretty high going throughout the rest of the season. But enough of my fandom. Let's talk about the major a little bit. Let's start with, and I cannot stress this enough, the champs themselves, OPTIC Texas. It was only just a few weeks ago when panic set in the Green Wall after OPTIC lost their first 2 matches in the qualifying rounds of Major I. The expectation at that point was that OPTIC were going to start their own major in the losers bracket. But in somewhat of an improbable fashion, OPTIC were able to suit up and win their next 3 games to make it into the winners bracket going into the major. OPTIC's perfect weekend started with a round 1 date with the Seattle Surge, and they made quick work of them this time. The series was quickly done and dusted and set up a round 2 matchup with Atlanta FaZe. Atlanta looks primed for a victory after a quick 2-0 map count to start off the series, and BZ got a little cocky there toward the end. Don't you like that? After winning maps 3 and 4, OPTIC were primed and ready for a game 5 to complete the reverse sweep. Oh, and that reverse sweep was completed in dominating fashion after OPTIC beat FaZe 6-0 in that Tuscan Search and Destroy.
One of the best Search and Destroy players all time on a goose egg. And a map 5 on the main.
Oh, the Daze hits. Ooh. They might have hit Shotzi as well. Cell, though, trying to bring this back, trying to give them the main advantage. Nobody on the defuse, as RC is going to have to check it. And on the peak, he gets picked. On the peak, he gets picked. Now you're looking at Sim working through the middle of the map. He's giving the call-outs.
Oh, no.
And find the kill.
I'd be a little bit nervous right now.
It's all to the bomb. I don't know. It is so close.
Got it. I don't know.
We got to go to the bomb.
So.
Show the bomb.
Show me the bomb.
Show me the bomb.
Wait, no. Did he get it? He got it. It's done. It's done. OPTIC with the reverse sweep.
So we really got to go look back at this Tuscan for just a hot second, because I really want to pinpoint how in the world was this bomb defused? That's easily got to be the closest bomb defuse ever, like in COD. Like I don't know how it gets any closer than that. Like on the absolute millisecond. Even this screenshot that I just showed you, here I'll show it again, doesn't make any sense. Dashie was easily the MVP of this series after he dropped a whopping 1.42 KD overall throughout the 5-map series. OPTIC would then move on to Championship Sunday in the winners bracket finals, and they would make quick work of the London Royal Ravens as they took them down 3-1. FaZe would work their way throughout the lower bracket and ultimately earn their spot in the grand finals, where the rematch was set to play. All the maps throughout the best of 9 series were super close, but it was ultimately OPTIC who came out on top, winning the series 5-2. But there was a slight little, just a tiny little thing there on the Gavin2 control. Going into round 5, it was OPTIC on defense, and after performing one of the clutchest rounds of controlled defense to date, the whole round had to be replayed. This was due to RC's, who you can visibly see on the mini-map, and even for a short moment as he was going over back green, was lagging around the map constantly.
What you want, Dashie banged up from that nade, backs on up, Illy playing the tightest corner he can possibly find. Arcites, walk that corner, you're in trouble, he gets dropped. 5-12, 40 seconds. OPTIC buying these precious moments is all they need to do. Here comes Dashie on the coverage, it's another big win. 2 members now from FaZe making their way towards ring. Shotzi's got the deep angle covered.
Now, there was a hint of this the round before, where you saw a timeout requested at some point. It kind of popped up on the left side of the screen, and that signaled that something was definitely up. But on the replay, this didn't deter OPTIC at all, as they made quick work of FaZe, made it quick and easy, and ultimately took down the map.
Zelium sending it. With the mid-map, damn, almost takes care of Arcites there, but again, look at the clock, we're taking this one down, it's less than 30 seconds, and that's going to be OPTIC with the map. Don't worry about the kills for now, friends. Cell trying to get on top of A. That's going to be the slow cap now, 23.8 for Scumpy. He not only is the king, but clearly the captain as well! Cell's now still on the outside, been taken care of. 15 seconds remain.
And a 4-man wipe means you can set up for the spawn kills, but where Shotzi falls, it is back to the same. Scump watching Cliff, man in the boat watching Cliff. They are forced to go to B, but there is simply no time. 2 seconds on it, you can't get there. OPTIC clutching up again.
The final map was Berlin S&D, and Shotzi introduced us to a crazy angle.
A bomb site will be the choice for FaZe. Shotzi clearing the windows. They know something's up.
You're going to have nades over towards A, looking for some intel. You got Shotzi spotting a BZ down low, but keep in mind, Illy, the brain, on the long flank. For the moment, Salim's watching it, the time it can be on point. Even have Scump creeping up. So far, bomb not going down.
Spots him. Massive kill from Selim. That is an unbelievable first blood. Now the 3 remaining members of OPTIC have to now contend with the full might of FaZe. But Shotzi! What was that angle? The bomb doesn't get planted. Scumpy flies in. Shotzi on the outside. Abizi the last one up. And it's Dashi!
After that crazy win, Dashi was named the MVP after having a stellar weekend. So congrats to the Green Wall, and let's go, baby. We're going to keep this going. In other news around the OPTIC Major, we saw the Paris Legion get their first victory of the season. With seemingly the whole arena cheering them on, they matched up against the Seattle Surge, and after 5 maps, were able to upset Seattle 3-2. Gravity made his first start with the Paris squad and was ultimately a key contributor to the win after posting the best KD overall across his team across all 5 maps. Paris would ultimately bow out in the next round after a loss to the Boston Breach, but they got to feel good about that W. Now, a few days after the major, it was ultimately announced that Fellow will be dropped from the Paris Legion roster and will be replaced by Jimbo. Jimbo and Gravity have a lot of history together in the Challenger scene, and we'll hope that their chemistry will lead Paris in a new direction going throughout the rest of the season. I gotta hand it to Paris here. They've looked flat and just completely outmatched in every single series they've played so far this season, so I gotta give it to them for taking the initiative and making moves when they felt they needed to. We're just gonna have to wait and see if it pays off. And by the way, let's go back to Seattle here for a second, because we gotta talk. And listen, I know the Kickoff Classic is not something you should really be going by because it is glorified scrims, but that team looked good. I think everybody agreed, except for Aches, because he's just Nostradamus and just knows everything. They thought the team had some potential. And they looked terrible in this major. They got sent home after 2 rounds, definitely should have lost that game to Paris, and I don't know where they go from here. This stage especially is going to be telling about how this roster is going to go. If they don't start seeing results out of Sib and Pred, and I'm a Pred believer personally, Seattle's going to have to do something quick. Nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, went right for the Subliners throughout stage 1. The team, which consists of Call of Duty legends, guys who are considered the GOATs of Call of Duty, can't figure out how to win a game this season. The Subliners did try to make a change, but a highly critical one at that, after they dropped Neptune for royalty. And not only did that move not work, but Subliners quickly retracted that move, and now Neptune is back on the starting lineup again. Why would you bench someone who you say needs more time to develop, only to just bring him right back? It was just it seems like it was a very desperate move at that point. And you gotta wonder if it hurts the chemistry of the team a little bit, especially since there's a little bit of lost practice time, a little bit of lost match time. So now everything's gonna be all out of sorts. And their struggles cannot be overstated at this point. They are 0-10 in hardpoint leading up to stage 2. For a team that legitimately looked like a possible top 4 contender, this is just unacceptable. This roster might be doomed to fall apart if they don't start turning things around right now. The mentals in Crim and Clay obviously in a pretty bad state, as you see from both of their Twitters, and it makes you wonder what's going to happen next. The first few qualifying matches in stage 2, as well as the major, are definitely going to be the things that determine the fate for this NYSL roster. The CDL 2022 season is starting to shape, and after such an enormous stage 1 major, I think we're going to see some great events going forward. There's really nothing quite like a COD LAN event, and it's had fans itching to get right back into the arena once again. The Minnesota Major is happening at the end of this month, and that's when we're really going to start to see things start to take shape. With the start of the Vanguard spring season, the Diamond Division has officially made its debut. The Rec League's highest division started off in week 2 of the spring season, and it did not disappoint. The first ever match we saw featured were the Philly Fighters versus the DC Minutemen. Both teams fought tooth and nail, but when Bocage Hardpoint rolled around, it was nothing but lights out for the Philly Fighters.
Philly Fighters needs 8 points to finish this game out. And I mean, if you're a DC Minutemen, you're going to need a whole heck of a lot more than that. You need 153 to win.
Yeah, and right now, they just aren't close enough. And just like that, Philly Fighters does take this map 250 to, I believe, 97.
Philly grabs their first win of the season, while the DC Minutemen will look to rebound next week in a matchup against the Green Bay Goats. Speaking of the Green Bay Goats, it was Leaf's squad that we're going to be facing off against the Vancouver Comets, led by Gier. These two teams are filled with CRL veterans, so the matchup was looking like it was going to be tough for either team to win. However, it was Green Bay that came into the match on fire, and it just did not stop there.
All by himself, left alone. Gonna find one before getting taken out. Only 9 seconds. But Vancouver is on the point right now. So they just need a hold. Only 3 lives remaining. No! Jazz is gonna rain death from above. And that's gonna be the round. And that's gonna be the map for Green Bay Goats.
Green Bay are looking like world beaters out there so far and are definitely a contender. And it wouldn't be a shock if they're reigning supreme at the end of the season. They'll be starting at 1-0, while Vancouver will look to rebound against the Sin City Slayers. God, that name is just glorious. I will never get over how cool that freaking name is. And speaking of the Sin City Slayers, who are led by Fallen, they had their own Week 1 matchup against the Paris Renegades, led by Dahmers. Paris Renegades had a roster of relatively unknown players going into the season. While they did make a Plat Pre-Made Finals run of their own in Season 5 of Cold War, they took a season off before returning for the spring season. So many were unsure how they would play after a decent amount of time away from the CRL, but when a certain somebody by the name of Shadow decides he's the best player in the world, it won't be easy. Paris did have some interesting moments of their own, but with how hot Sin City was the entire series, they would ultimately prevail in dominating fashion.
That's a 5 spree. Man, Shadow is absolutely balling out right now, and it is dire right now for the side of Paris. He's going to try to add on to some more, seeing if he can find anybody on the point. Look at him just running around, seeing the 2 players on point, 8 seconds on the clock, 5-2 life advantage. Make that Sid the last one again. He will be surrounded, and Sin City with the sweep and a very convincing control win as well.
There's going to be plenty of amazing Diamond matches this season, so please go follow our Twitch, twitch.tv/COD Rec League, where we're going to be streaming most, if not all, of the Diamond Division games happening throughout the season. And now on what is maybe the biggest piece of news for the ESRL, the Halo Rec League has announced that they will be partnering with Faceit. If you're unfamiliar with Faceit, here's Shio to explain.
The HRL is partnering with Faceit. We've entered the partner program, which grants us exclusive access to Faceit platform's Halo features, where we'll be hosting all of our free-for-all series and tournaments going forward. Faceit also grants us access to social media promotion, features on their website, and more. And we're super excited to be working with Faceit to develop the Halo scene on the platform, as well as expand the reach of the HRL.
I'm really looking forward to this partnership, and I think it brings a lot of potential moving forward for the Halo Rec League as it continues to expand rapidly. Call of Duty has released the game every year since 2003. And now, 20 years later, that's about to change. For the first time in franchise history, Call of Duty has announced that they will be skipping a release for Call of Duty in 2023, pushing the next edition of Black Ops to 2024. This comes on the heels after the company has openly admitted that Call of Duty Vanguard did not meet their expectations. Some executives within the company, and honestly fans have been saying this for years, believe that releasing a new game every year are not allowing them to put out the best products possible. So with this delay, the Black Ops will hypothetically have more polish, and we should see a much more put together title when it releases in 2024. This now puts a lot of pressure of the release of the next Call of Duty game that's coming out this year, rumored to be Modern Warfare 2, as that's going to be the game that players are going to have to enjoy for the next 2 years. And overall, this move is definitely a beneficial one. Call of Duty Vanguard has been heavily criticized since its release, and it's been like this for the past few CODs if we're being honest with ourselves. The games have just felt buggy, unfinished, and there's been a ton of issues that have plagued the past few years of this game. One of the big issues being that ranked play didn't release until 4 months after the game dropped in November. This decision by the franchise will hopefully alleviate some of the time crunch and pressure that developers for COD have been experiencing for a while, especially during the early months of COVID. As long as the game is properly developed, then they don't need to do this 12-month cycle. So as long as the games are good and well put together, I think we're in for some good Call of Duty in the near future. This is definitely an unprecedented situation for all of us COD fans, and we've never experienced anything like this before, and there's still a lot of questions that have yet to be answered. Like, what's going to happen with the Call of Duty League? They're just going to play this for 2 years as if nothing has changed? Is that what they're going to do? What else is in store? Let us know what you think about this news in the comments down below. Going back over to the competitive side of Call of Duty for a second, we got a few changes coming our way here for Vanguard. Starting with the one that probably has the biggest impact in COD competitive, Control is getting a revamp once again. The round 5 tiebreaker will now be based off of ticks for both squads compared to kills as it's been since the game's release. This was a huge gripe that so many pro players have had with Control, and what we saw happen last year as well in Cold War. With the current state of Control on Vanguard, especially on a map like Gavi 2, defense is heavily favored. Now, admittedly, pro teams have been figuring out Gavi 2 offense, and that dreaded A site is becoming more and more capturable by the second, but it led to a lot of situations where teams were basically playing TDM in order to secure that round 5. From a playing and viewing standpoint, this has definitely caused a bit of a drag. The Control mode has always played much better with ticks as the time breaker, and Vanguard is definitely no different. It's definitely confusing why they even started out with kills as the tiebreaker to begin with, given that Cold War literally went through the same exact transition during that game cycle. Either way, this should make Control a lot more enjoyable and a lot more competitive throughout the rest of the season, so I'm glad they're doing this now. Moving on to the next piece of business, and this one, we got to go to Bocage for. Bocage S&D is getting a bit of a facelift as the A-bomb site will be moved out of Grandma's house and sat on the porch over on Platte. This slight change could actually mean a lot for the complexion of Bocage S&D overall. In its current state, the A-bomb site is clearly the favorite site for offensive teams. At times, the offense can be so slanted that A seems like it's really the only viable site on this map. And I kind of agree. This definitely will make S&D enjoyable going forward, as now you might start to see teams start heading over towards that B site just a little bit more, considering both are going to be open. It's also going to make defending the A-bomb site a little bit easier, and you're not going to see any quick plants on the A site anymore, I can tell you that much. They could also provide the offensive teams with a lot more lines of sight as well after they get the plant down. This is definitely what we're expecting as the update goes live, but we could totally be wrong about this, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens once the update goes live. And finally, ranked play is getting some adjustments in the SR category. Players will now lose less SR than they previously did, hopefully meaning no more minus 50 SR after losses. Please, dear God. There were also SR penalties added for players who quit or disconnected from games. Players who abused leaving games before the update did not get off scot-free either, as those players had negative SR adjustments to their account. This led to a pretty comical tweet here from Shark as well, where they even said their top offender lost over 2,000 SR. A lot of important changes coming to Vanguard all at once, and now it's time to see how they're going to play out. If you guys are enjoying the content game and everything we've been putting up lately, please be sure to let us know in the comments and definitely leave a like on this video. Be sure to subscribe to catch up with all things ESRL, including the COD Rec League and the Halo Rec League. My name is Morison III. I'll see you next time. Green wall, baby!